match for a good blast here, true side.
Welcome to Hokey Religion. Oh gosh, it's happening. It's episode 97. Is that what we are? Episode 97 now?
Yes.
So just be excited for that, I guess.
We're almost there! It's almost done.
Welcome to Hokey Religion, the Star Wars podcast. This is Tyler.
This is Michael.
And the only thing anyone's talking about is Galaxy's Edge.
Welcome to Hokey Religion, where
So
we won't talk about Galaxy's Edge.
yeah, good luck. So I've been thinking about that, right? You've got this theme park, you've got this Galaxy's Edge thing, and it's a big deal, I guess, to Star Wars fans. Is it though? A big deal to Star Wars fans? I've been thinking about that. Like, we have a podcast, we talk about Star Wars, we talk about the books and the movies and everything. Do people want to hear about Galaxy's Edge as an experience? Because it's not something that
who
may matter.
Star Wars fans or just
I don't know.
General public?
Either.
I would say it's a big deal to anybody, because it's like when Harry Potter Land opened, or Avatar World even at Animal Kingdom.
No one cared about that.
That was a big deal.
Everyone
despite
hated that.
what it was.
no one was excited for that, I don't think.
Well, not excited, but they were like, it was still a big deal.
Great.
Pardon me while I move things around right into the microphone.
Yeah, I know. No, I've been to Avatar Land now, and everything's different colors.
Okay, so so I wanted to talk about this too. I forgot to mention it before, but that was your first time going, right?
Yeah. So, if no one is aware, Animal Kingdom in
Orlando,
Disney World in Orlando has a Avatar Land there with a couple rides, and it's all Avatar. It's all on Pandora.
So nowhere near the square footage that Galaxy's Edge is going to have.
Definitely not.
But only 2 rides, like Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
So
a ride and a quarter. One of them doesn't count as a ride.
Not even a ride and a half.
No.
It's Small World with black lights, is what it is.
But it's even shorter than Small World. It's there's this Navi River Journey boat ride, and it's shorter than Small World, and nothing happens. You literally are just riding on a river on Pandora, and nothing happens. You just get to see trees.
Yeah, you're right.
You don't even get to bang the trees with your hair braids. Nothing. It's just you're just floating around, looking at trees. Cool.
So I remember when that opened, it was a big deal, and there were long lines, and like that one ride, Flight of Passage.
Flight of Passage, yeah.
It's like soaring on steroids. It's projection
intense
thing that you sit on a little creature and you fly around this big projection thing that's in your face, and it's 3D, right?
Yeah.
And the lines were like
6 hours
off the
long.
Charts. Yeah. Crazy.
And it still gets up over 3-4 hours sometimes.
And it's been open for over 5 years at this point, right? I don't even know how many years it's been open. But yeah, there are still long lines. There are still people that go like on their Disney trip and make a point to go to Avatar Land. So
yeah,
I'm trying to figure out, first of all, is Disney making these new Avatar movies to justify this all this money they spent on this?
What, because it's been 10 years since the first movie came out?
Right.
Why would anyone care about it anymore?
Right.
These are all valid questions that I'm still asking.
Or is it going to be like phased out at some point and like, oh, that was a nice experiment.
Having the Avatar Land?
Yeah. Time to move on.
No.
I'm worried
Avatar,
about...
But think about how they just phased out Honey, I Shrunk the Kids at studios, like within the past 5 years.
Well, to make room for Galaxy's Edge.
Yes, but just how long had that been there? That would anyone that wasn't in their late 20s, early 30s even know what that was?
When was the Lilo and Stitch ride finally closed?
Like last year.
And that had been open since
the Alien,
the early 2000s.
Well, it was a different ride before it was the Stitch ride.
Well, it was the Alien ride.
It was Alien Encounter, and then it was turned into the Stitch Alien Encounter.
I know. So, but the Stitch one specifically, because
it just closed. It was only open maybe 5 years.
Is that even still a thing, Lilo and Stitch?
I mean, it was a movie. It's
I know it was a
still
movie,
available.
but
They didn't cancel it from
I'm just
from
making
creation.
the point that even that stayed open for way longer than it probably should have.
Maybe.
But anyway, my point was, first of all, like the Galaxy's Edge crowd problem is going to be
it's gonna be a problem for a long time.
way worse than Avatar. Yeah, and probably go on for a lot longer unless something crazy is done.
Well, that's what
Like-
I was saying something. I think I replied to somebody on Twitter about that. They were like, because someone was, I guess the very first day that Galaxy's Edge opened to the people that had reservations,
Yeah.
the crowd was nuts. There's a ton of people waiting outside the thing, and I was like, and I replied, yeah, and this is with the reservation system, right? These people have reservations.
Yeah.
When it opens in Disney World, they're still not saying anything about there being a reservation, and it's supposed to open in like a month and a half.
Well, I think they're trying the system out first before
Maybe
they
it's
confirm.
possible, but it's possible that Disney World will not have a reservation system for Galaxy's Edge opening.
So far, that's the case.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if it was that busy with the reservation system, it's going to be insane here.
Yeah.
And
Well, you've got park capacity.
you've got
least.
much more park capacity.
They're gonna
here.
Sure. The actual park, Galaxy's
Galaxy's
Edge, is
Edge,
not any
yes.
bigger.
No, that's true.
But yes, you do have a bigger park capacity with the studios, probably.
And someone was like,
But I'm just saying they're going to turn people away at some point.
right.
It's not
Someone
just
was
gonna
like,
be
oh man, I hope it starts thinning out after a few months. I'm like,
No.
no.
This is going to be
Like,
years.
taking Avatar, for example, a franchise that shouldn't matter to anyone
Yeah.
because it's 10 years old. They're still supposed to make like another 7 movies for some reason. I think was it 5 or 6? 5?
I think it's
I think
was
it's
it
supposed to
5
make 5
total?
more movies. I think maybe 5 total or 5 more
4
movies.
more movies, 5 total.
So a movie that's 10 years old that I don't know anyone that cares about it anymore.
yeah.
Who there's children who are 10 years old that probably don't know what Pandora or Avatar are, and that's like prime Disney age group, right?
Sure.
So if that still has 3-4 hour waits for that ride, and albeit that ride is pretty awesome from a technological standpoint and a ride standpoint, it's one of my favorite rides at Disney.
Yeah.
Now that I've ridden it, I could give a shit about the premise or the purpose or
The theme or anything.
the theme of it.
Yeah.
For all I care, I was riding on a pterodactyl. It could have just been dinosaur themed, and I would have probably liked it even more
Yeah.
because dinosaurs are cooler than the bullshit things that are in Avatar.
So now replace that with one of the most iconic science fiction spaceships.
Yeah, and I was talking to my wife about that. I was like, "This is because we were making fun of everything because neither of us give a shit about Avatar," and I was just enjoying it in the most ironic way possible.
Yeah.
I got the green beer because I guess it's perpetually St. Patrick's Day on Pandora.
Why
I
is
got
it-
the blue cheesecake that the inside is purple.
You know what's weird about that is it's humans from Earth that go to populate Pandora. So it's just normal stuff.
Yeah.
Why does the beer have to be green?
I don't know. The beer was pretty good, but it didn't need to be green. But we were making fun of everything, and I was talking with her, but I was like, this ride is always, only reason we went to ride it is because we happened to be able to get a fast pass for it. Because if you don't get a fast
Which
pass,
is still
you have
hard to do.
Yeah,
even
it is.
after all this time.
30 days out, there's still no fast passes available. You have to just keep stalking them and wait for one to pop up and get
Yeah.
it. And so this ride that's typically at least 2 hours long of a wait, if not more, after it being a 10-year-old franchise that hasn't had any other movies. It's a very small fan base of people that even know what Pandora and Avatar are.
Yeah.
Again, the ride itself probably speaks for itself and has to do with some of the crowd. But compare that to Star Wars, which is 40 years old.
Yeah.
It spans like
Several
every
generations.
generation every generation that's alive currently.
Yeah, maybe. Skip one, probably.
Maybe. But I mean, if you think about like our children, us, our parents, and my grandparents know what Star Wars is.
They know of it, at least grandparents do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not have
So I
seen
mean, it spans almost every generation that is currently living.
Yeah.
In at least first world countries.
Yeah.
So you've got that backing of just everyone knows what Star Wars is. Most of the generations that are alive would know Star Wars at least fairly well because it's always been in popularity.
Yeah.
So you've got that, and then
And at least 3
you've
of
got
those
a ride.
generations will want to go experience this.
Right.
You know?
So that, given that Avatar Land, Pandora has been open for I think 5 years now, and the rides
It's been longer than that. I know.
Has it?
I think it's been almost 10 years, but
and the ride's still
Let me
4+ hours waits sometimes, especially on busy periods.
yeah.
It's going to be over a decade before Galaxy's Edge starts to thin out in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Getting fast passes or getting onto the rides is going to be so extremely difficult for a very long time. That if you're going to go to Hollywood Studios and you want to go to Galaxy's Edge, you basically have to plan for your day to be in Galaxy's
Are you kidding
Edge.
me? It opened in 2017.
Yeah, it's not that
Why
old.
does it feel like it's been 10 years?
They're building it for a long time though.
Well, yeah, since 2014. That's really not that long.
So that's not very old. That's only what, 4 years?
They began development in 2011. But that's that was just, like pre-production stuff.
So, yeah.
Construction began 2014 and it opened in 2017.
Yeah.
Why does it feel like it's been
It does
open
feel like a
for
really long time.
my entire life?
So then picture Star Wars with only 2 rides available in a park. You're gonna
Okay,
have to,
so 2 years.
you have to plan for your whole day to just be in Batu waiting to get on rides and
Sure.
into stuff because it's going to take that long because the
Sure.
lines are going to be insane.
Yeah.
I mean, I've even heard the line to get into the cantina is 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And they're apparently testing a reservation system for it. But like if like not like getting a time slot though, like they'll just tell you when it's time for you to show up. So if you're in line for a ride, you either stay in line for the ride or you get to go to the cantina. You pick. So yeah, I mean it's gonna be. I may be in my 50s before Star Wars Land starts to see a downturn in people, in like crowds.
So that was my original point was, well, I mean, I guess less now because I thought this Avatar park had been open a lot longer, but how long until, Disney's little Star Wars experiment is like, okay, well, that was nice.
But that's the thing is,
Like, is it going to be busy forever until
Yeah.
it closes?
yes,
That's
most
that's what
likely.
my question is.
Because it's Star Wars. Yeah, Star Wars.
Or is this
Star Wars hasn't died for 40 years. Why would it?
Why would it die in the next 40?
Right. Yeah.
Unless they do something really stupid.
I mean, I know The Last Jedi happened, and that's totally killed Star Wars as a whole. But
Star Wars is nowhere near what it used to be.
So, I mean, again, both of our, like your children and my children,
Mhm.
not our children, they don't know about Star Wars.
They don't know about each other.
Your family's children and my family's children, like they all know and love Star Wars too. Like my son and your son,
Uh-huh.
they like my 1-year-old knows who BB-8 is
Yeah.
and loves BB-8. So it's like it's still perpetuating itself. It's a cycle that hasn't ended because of what it is.
Yeah.
And that's why we love Star Wars, because of what it is. And it's not. I don't know how anyone can ever go visit that park without it being insane forever.
Yeah.
And it's only going to make money. So I mean, they're putting in the freaking hotel. That's going to be a whole experience too.
See, and even that doesn't do anything to help direct people to somewhere else. All it's going to do is drive
Yeah.
more traffic to
All I see is probably in the next 10 years, them probably expanding it further.
maybe. They do have the land here, more so probably than
Yeah.
in Disneyland.
I don't know that park specifically. I don't know where they would be able to expand it to because they've expanded it almost on the edge of the park there, of the land, at least where Hollywood Studios is. But I don't see why they wouldn't expand it further at some point,
Here,
especially.
you're saying?
Yeah.
Here
Yeah,
they've got
here,
they've
here
got,
they probably could.
they've got a bunch
At
of
other
land.
parks, they probably couldn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be just crazy for a very long time.
Yeah.
Whether it ever actually slows down or not, that will be a long time.
See, that's what makes me think. I think we've said it before, and we've had this conversation also about the Toy Story area, about how that was when it first opened and how it's still busy and how small it is, and
right.
all that stuff. But
And it's because it's the new thing. It's hard to get into anything that's new at Disney because it's the new thing.
yeah. But it keeps making me thinking about, why wouldn't they have, one, a reservation system here? Why haven't they announced that yet?
Yeah.
And two, why don't they limit capacity? Why aren't they choking capacity more down to like an optimum amount of people, to to where that park isn't just completely flooded, and it's like it's limited to just the right amount of people, to where
Mhm.
they have a good crowd, but not so much that you could still move around and experience things without it being
I
frustrating.
guess it'll be telling once the reservation system time frame ends for Disneyland, because that's supposed to happen in
June.
July, or is it in June? End of June?
I think it's the end of June.
June 20 something, I think.
It
like
might be
late
the
June.
31st. I don't
I guess
remember
that'll
now.
be pretty telling to see how bad it is once there's no reservation system in place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, especially at this point, because there's only one ride. I mean, that's where everyone's just basically heading to the ride to get in line for it.
June
Then
23rd. You're
it's insane.
May 31st to June 23rd.
Okay, so that's fairly soon.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be interesting to see how intense it is.
Yeah.
Once there's no reservation system in place, it worries me.
Is the reservation system booked completely
I
at
think
this
so.
point?
Unless you get a hotel, which I don't know if there's. I think if you get to go if you have a Disney hotel reservation.
Okay.
So I think that's still valid. I think. But even then, I think they just hand you a reservation time. I don't think you just get to pick when you get the hotel. It's like, if you want to go to Star Wars, here's when you can go.
Here's your 4 hours.
Yeah. But it's,
Has anyone said,
as someone who can go to the park easily because it's so close, it's still gonna suck. It's not like I can just hop over and go because I'm here. It's Star Wars Land. It's going to be a 8-hour wait for something just because it's Star Wars.
Yeah. Has anyone said with the 4-hour block if they were able to experience, or feel like they were able to experience everything?
No. Most people either get to ride the ride or go to the cantina, it sounds like.
Really?
Because of the wait. The cantina is like a 2-hour wait. If you want to go to the cantina, you have to go straight there. Now, if you're still in line for the ride, you're fine, right? So it's like, go to the cantina. That has a limited time frame as well. Once you're in, you can only be there for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to be the standing thing going forward. Is once you, like, the getting to the cantina is not like going into a restaurant or like a open seating restaurant and sitting down.
It's just a bar.
You're allowed to go in, and you're only supposed to be there for a certain amount of time, and then you have to leave.
Yeah.
So you can't just go and hang out there all day like you could, like it's some open seating place at various Disney parks. So they're like, if you want to go there, then just go straight there, because it's at least it's often a 2-hour wait, and that's again with the reservation system, with only a certain amount of people being in there for 4 hours, and then people have to get in line for the ride, and they can do that. But if you also want to build a lightsaber and also want to build a droid, it's almost impossible to do all that.
You'd have to go back again.
Yeah, most people I see like got to build a lightsaber and got to ride the ride.
Jeez.
And walk around, and that was about it.
Wow.
So it's like, once it's open with no reservations, it's, if you want to experience everything at Star Wars, that's your day. Your day is waiting in line for things in Galaxy's Edge.
From open to close.
Right. Yeah. Which, I mean, it's probably I'm sure is worth it. Everything, I've not heard anything bad about any of the experiences that are there.
Yeah.
Everything I've heard about the lightsaber building experience sounds amazing. Even the droid one is supposedly really fun. The cantina is supposed to be super cool.
Yeah.
And then the ride's awesome as well, everyone says. So it's probably worth it, but if you're planning on visiting it, I'm assuming, like, most people would, like, that's their purpose for going there. They're not probably trying to do anything else either.
Right.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting once the reservation system's gone to see how chaotic it gets from just a capacity standpoint.
Yeah, I can't imagine once the reservation system is out, like Because then it not only is it the people who are paying for the hotels, the whole Disney experience people, but it's
Mhm.
also the one-time visitors and the pass holders that now get to
Right,
show
because
up.
right now it's people that cared enough to go out of their way to get a reservation to go.
Right. Or the hotel guests, like you're saying.
Or the
The
hotel
people who are
guests.
there for like the week.
Right.
Who are doing all the parks.
Yeah.
But yeah, now you're adding the 1 day spontaneous people
Mhm.
who want to go do it and all the pass holders.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I can't imagine. It's gonna be a mess.
It will be something. I'm gonna try to go as soon as it opens here.
Yeah, we
It
still have to
just-
decide if we're gonna do the hotel
and
thing.
just ford the experience. Just
Just
ford the
what?
crowds.
Do what?
Ford the crowds. Just
Ford them?
I'm just gonna have to. That's a term.
Ford?
Like
Oh,
fording a river.
Oh, okay.
I'm just gonna. Yeah. I will let them take me where they lead
Are
me.
you gonna show up on your your wagon boat
Yeah. Dressed as
with your long stick
dressed as
as a pioneer?
as George Washington, with my leg up on the front of the boat.
Surfing on your
I'll hitch a couple random passersby, and they'll pull me into Galaxy's Edge.
with your long stick.
Yes, they said no Star Wars costumes. They didn't say any period appropriate George Washington costumes. So if I can't dress up like a Jedi, then I'm going as the first president of our country.
makes sense.
That's the second choice.
It makes sense. I like the order, the priority.
It's my order of costume choices.
You've got Jedi, George Washington, French Revolutionary,
Michael Myers,
Michael Myers after
the
that.
comedian, not
Yes.
the
Then
not,
Michael
not,
Myers.
not the horror.
Michael
movie.
Myers, the serial killer.
Yeah.
Okay, it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. And then a furry. The last one's furry.
A furry? Any
Yeah.
furry? Nothing
Just-
specifically.
My.
Is Chewbacca a furry? He is, isn't he?
I mean, how does? So would that make any animal a furry? These animals love to fuck. No shit, they're both dogs.
wait,
what
is
do you?
Is
what
a
do you
furry
want?
a sentient animal, or is a furry a person who
No,
dresses
it's
up
a
as
person dressed as an animal.
Okay, it's not just a sentient.
They
Animal.
get off by getting off as another thing.
They get off by putting on an animal costume. I spoke to a furry today. What else is there? We talked about Galaxy's Edge a lot.
I have comebacks to that, but it's not worth saying them out loud and having them recorded. So we're gonna move on.
I can just imagine a news segment where a guy starts up. They get off by putting on, and it zooms out, and he's putting on an animal
Animal
costume.
costumes.
He's like putting on the furry outfit. Let's go speak to some furries.
I've got with me here Rough Fuckums, and as you can see, he's a dog. But let's find out what's inside the dog. As he's saying that, he's like taking off his clothes because he's gonna bang the dog. Is what I picture. I don't know about you as you were listening to that, but now please have that picture with me.
The dog is standing there with a towel around its waist and behind a massage table. And the guy is like with a little side table of oil and candles, and the reporter is undressing.
Let's find out what this furry stuff is all about. As he's shaking his pants down to his ankles. Oh. All right. Galaxy. We talked more than enough about Galaxy's Edge. I'm sure everyone's excited about it. I still do wonder though. While we've talked about it a lot, but everyone's talked about it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What's that point of I don't care anymore for people? Like
For
where's
who?
the
Who are you
where's the
talking about?
threshold?
That's you asked that question earlier. Who
Yeah.
are you
I-
talking
it's-
about? Just regular people?
Like people that would care about this podcast. That's not a regular person. No normal person would listen to this. Only weirdos. You heard me.
Yeah.
So people that
you,
would care enough to
singular.
go out of their way, care enough about Star Wars to go out of their
one
way
listener.
to you guy. They're people that care enough to go out of the way to look up Star Wars stuff and read about Star Wars stuff and read the books. And what's that threshold of like, yeah, okay, I've heard about it. I don't care anymore. I don't care about wait times. I don't care about building a lightsaber anymore. I'm never going to get to go because it cost $1 bajillion to get there.
This is all stuff that I would want to know. That's why I like to talk about it.
Yeah, but
there's also the internet, and we're not. I mean, I don't know.
This podcast is specifically for blind people who can't search Star Wars things on the internet. Did we never say that out loud? Is this the first time?
That is the demographic we're going for.
Yeah. Mostly blind, partially deaf people that just like vibrations.
This is about. Well, that's me. We have never really talked about how our demographic is people who don't have access to the internet, but somehow also have access to podcasts.
Our demographic is people that find MP3 players with this on it. Somehow it's updated. I don't know.
We'll be really popular in the dystopic future.
Right. We're really banking on that.
Everyone's leaving their phones with our podcast laying around.
No, but just like for us, it's easy to care about it too, because I know I can go to Galaxy's Edge because it's only it's a 30, 45-minute drive from me, right?
Yeah, but for Tom Haggle man
in Wichita, like who doesn't have a job, and he lives in a hole.
And crack ass Kansas.
Yeah, he has no money. He can't go to the Galaxy's Edge because it does cost way too damn much to go to Disney. So there's a lot of people from a demographic standpoint that they just can't afford the trip and the ticket cost. Well, it's easy enough when you can just drive there and pay $100 to go for the day. That's still expensive for a lot of people, but that's easier.
It's gotta be more than that.
Just a ticket for
just to get in. You're talking about
$100 on the like lowest end possible. It's $109, I think now.
Okay, but not spend any money when you're in there.
Right,
that's impossible.
Just get in and walk around and starve to death.
You cannot go to Disney and not spend any money other than the ticket price. It's impossible.
Well, yeah, but I mean, for people who could drive there and just pay a ticket price, that's one thing. But for people that have to like fly or drive hours and gas and all of that, like there's a threshold of like I will not get to experience that for a long time because I can't.
Yeah,
financially, or I'll never get to experience that because it's just so far away. Because even people in other countries, right? So what's that threshold of like, all right, I've heard about all of the things at Galaxy's Edge. Please stop talking about it.
I don't know.
And obviously it's very fresh, and it's going to be talked about probably for the rest of the year by a lot of people because we don't have anything else to talk about.
Until it opens here.
Yeah.
I would say. Once it opens here, it'll be old news.
And then you've got the next ride that'll open and people will be talking about that.
Sure.
I don't know. I keep thinking about that. Like, what's that threshold of like, all right, we've got it. Please stop. The end.
Well, I mean, who hasn't said that about just our show in general?
Well,
we've done over 90 episodes of just, okay, we get it.
That's what we do when we sit down. We're
like,
all right.
You guys know just enough to be fans, and you should probably just stop now.
That's not fair. We make furry jokes. Also, we went on about a backwards man for like at least 20 minutes, I feel. And that was gold.
Please go back and listen to that episode because that was fun.
Yeah.
Don't listen to this one because there's been nothing in it so far.
We talked about Galaxy's Edge.
Let's make some more content, Tyler.
So there's been a really, really crap-ass rumor about
well, hold on. Before we talk about that, Alphabet Squadron comes out.
Speaking about crap ass.
Let's get this out of the way first. Alphabet Squadron comes out June 11th, which is tomorrow. As you're listening to this, hopefully you're listening to it the day it was released.
As of the day of this episode releasing.
Comes out tomorrow, June 11th.
Alphabet Squadron comes out. And I am excited about the book because
we're getting back to X-Wing.
Yeah, basically.
Michael Stackpole X-Wing type books.
I'm excited about the premise and the subject matter of the books. But the excerpts that have come out so far.
So yeah, an excerpt was released last week.
They don't have me super psyched for the writing of the book, I will say. But I will not judge a book by its excerpt I will read the book and then I will judge it heavily.
We're not just judging it by the cover.
It's
It's also
judging it by the style of writing. To give the guy
also I like how it's all fighters and then a U-wing, which is like
it's a transport.
a transport.
Yeah. He
It's
carries
like-
the crate with all of their junk in it.
I don't.
So at some point, I mean, a U-wing has weapons, but probably
3
nothing.
fighter jets and a cargo plane.
I mean, a U-wing has weapons.
Okay.
I wonder if at some point they've re-outfitted U-wings to be more useful. Because I would hope so.
Useless wing.
That's what it stands for. Yeah, I never really thought about that, but yeah, the U-wing doesn't really. It's a fighter squadron. What does he do? He corrals things. He uses the U to scoop bad guys out of the sky. I don't know. That's a good point.
There's got to be another wing besides a U-wing.
Not for an alphabet. There's no other alphabet. That is all of the alphabet
Yeah.
ships. There's no other alphabet ship.
There is V-wing. They could have brought V-wing back from.
I guess so, but that hasn't been reintroduced in current canon, right?
Yeah.
But I'm excited about the book. The excerpt seemed a little weird,
Soupy.
a little bit. It reminds me of Last Shot in reading it, where like the subject matter was good, but the writing was like, the way it reads, and it's probably just because of the author, and reading it in context of the actual book will probably help. But the author for it does a lot of video game and comic book writing. So the way it's written does sound more like dialogue for something than it does for a typical novel writing.
Like,
at least to
in
me.
addition to a visual component.
Yeah, like it seems more. Again, this person has written a lot of stuff for video games and comic books, and they've done some other Star Wars books. They did some Old Republic Star Wars books, the novelization for Rogue One. But just reading it reads more like dialogue for a thing than it does as just a novel. Like there should be some sort of visual aspect to it. Word bubbles in a comic and having visuals to it, or
Maybe.
comic book. Like it reads like it needs a visual. It reads like you're watching a movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I
Maybe.
mean, there are writers like that I've read where it's like this reads like I'm watching the movie, not like I'm reading a book necessarily, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
There's been a few books like that. Like I feel that same way about Ready Player One. I loved Ready Player One. It was super fun. But it read like I should have been watching it.
Okay.
Which wasn't a bad thing. Like I said, I loved Ready Player One. But reading an excerpt of something like that without the full context is kind of off-putting, it seemed. But
whereas
I'm excited for it otherwise.
let's
Still.
say like the X-Wing series, I never felt that way about that. That was always very like I would read it and my mind would be transported to
Right.
the place that was being described. Whereas this is like it's not that for me. At least just for this little excerpt,
Right. Yeah.
you know?
And it could have just been poor choice of excerpt from the book.
Maybe. There was a lot of saying full names. Like it's all establishing.
Yeah.
It's like
This
an
guy and that
establishing
guy and her
shot.
and him
Yeah.
and it and they.
Right.
And now they're all here. Alphabet Squadron. Ho!
And then it ended.
Yeah. And then it was done. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. But I'll probably read it. There are a lot of books I haven't read.
Yes. You still haven't read the second Thrawn book.
Which I just realized the other day.
That was the last time we recorded, right?
Did we say that
I think
last time?
you did.
Oh.
That
Okay.
is a travesty.
I don't know why. I want to. Somehow wanting to do something doesn't translate into actually doing it for me.
I think you read like the first like 3 Star Wars books that came out in the new canon, and then you just stopped. Is that what it? Is that what happened?
I've read several.
4,
At least 4.
and I looked at a 5th. That's what happened with the Aftermath series, right?
I opened up a drawer the other day, and my Kindle was at the back of it, and its battery was dead. Oh, that thing.
The word screen.
That's where all my books are.
Yeah. So sad. There's a lot of good books.
Look, it's not about that I don't like to read. Like I said, me wanting to do something for some reason doesn't translate into me actually doing it.
Somehow we still record this podcast.
Somehow I find the time to watch at least 3 episodes of The Next Generation every night.
For the 17th time.
Yeah.
Got it. Thanks.
I like things that I've seen before.
You're officially,
You know what's coming.
You're officially old.
Actually, it's not that, because I've seen The Next Generation all the way through, probably 2 or 3 times now. And I watch it and I don't remember anything. I forget it completely after it's done.
You're at the point of your age where you like the stuff you like because you forgot that you liked it.
But then you watch it again and you remember, oh yeah, I really like this.
This all feels so familiar. I love it.
It's a self-perpetuating cycle.
Right.
I just keep eating the same food over and over again. But I forget. I only eat it because I forgot that I liked it. And then I remember I like it after I've eaten it.
That's so sad.
No, I try plenty of new things, just not Star Wars.
So this is, we have a podcast.
It's not on purpose.
Did you ever watch the rest of the Resistance?
I did, and I really enjoyed it. I watched the whole first season.
That's good.
And I'm excited to see the second season.
Good for you.
I don't remember if I ever talked about it on the show. But,
Now read a book.
but there's no moving pictures.
I will act them out as you're reading for
Where
you.
are the sounds? I listen to it. I don't hear anything.
Let
My
me
Kindle
introduce
doesn't
you
have
to
speakers.
audiobooks.
My Kindle doesn't have speakers. So the books don't work.
I like the idea of having a hardback of a book and opening it up and it's just a speaker and the audiobook starts playing.
It's like those greeting cards.
Like a greeting card, but it's an audiobook.
It's a whole audiobook.
Yeah, so
like
when you
20
open it, it
hours
plays, and when you close it, it pauses it. That's a fantastic idea. I want to make that.
It's like, 8-10 hours of something.
Yeah.
Is it just a single book or is it like a Kindle?
No, it's
Is it a
per
Kindle
book.
that's just
No.
a speaker with a screen?
No.
Oh.
It's per book. It's a hardback.
Oh, okay.
It's as big as a regular hardback. And when you open it,
up,
it's just a
hollow.
speaker face.
That's hollow inside.
Well, it's a speaker.
Right. Okay.
So you open the cover and it's just a block. It's not even pages. It's just a block with a speaker facing you.
No
and
buttons.
then the book just starts to play.
No buttons. You have to close it to stop it.
Uh-huh.
Okay. There's no rewinding.
Just like a real book, you have to close it when you're done reading. And when you want to start reading, you open it.
That's a good idea.
So it automatically plays as soon as you open the book, and it stops as soon as you close it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I really want to make that. There's got to be a way.
The Kindle version is you have buttons to go from one book to the other.
No, but
But it's still just one speaker.
But this is just, each book is just that book playing the audio version of it. And if you leave it closed, and after it's been closed and not reopened to be read, it resets to the start of the book.
For how long? How long does it have to be closed?
2 months.
Okay.
There's got to be something to reset it automatically.
Yeah.
I'd have to put in a button to reset it when you're, if you just needed to, I guess. We'll figure out the details later. But this is going to work. This is going to be big. This is the next big thing in book technology. Just open it up and it's just like an old Pioneer speaker looking
like a
at
horn?
you. Yeah. No. Just I picture the front of old speakers, the round with so you can see them the bass bouncing it. It doesn't even have the cover in front of it. It's just the speaker facing you. When you open the book.
Pioneer, like the
the
speaker
brand,
maker.
not like Pioneers from olden
I was
times.
gonna say Pioneer speakers.
Just a man talking like a Pioneer speaking? What? I don't understand.
What did pioneers listen to their hip hop on?
They're horses. Duh. They listen to everything on their horses.
Pioneer
Michael.
speaker. I was gonna say, do you open the book and it's just a can on a string, and you just have to put it up to your ear?
And then the string comes out the back and leads to me in the other room, just reading you the actual book.
It goes through the book. The book there's a cutout all the way through the book.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's like in a cartoon where you have the TV.
And when you
it's
pull
just
it
a
out, like a
frame.
bell rings in the other room. I'm like, oh, it's time to read. And I got to grab the other end of the can and just open up to the page where we were on and start reading again. This is getting worse. You've ruined my idea.
I don't know. We've solved the rewinding problem.
But now I have to always be there, waiting. My job is to read you books now, like a caretaker.
We've put a digital assistant inside the book. Now it's not just a book. It could be anything. You can ask the book what time it is. This is good. We're iterating.
We're deconstructing a Kindle to its most base form.
A man who reads you.
This is the Kindle
thing.
version. This is the Kindle you have in the apocalypse. It's just someone else reading you a book as your slave. That's what this is.
So Alphabet Squadron comes out tomorrow. All
Yeah.
right, let's get to the most stupid rumor we've ever heard.
So there was a popular rumor about Rey's parentage. Surprise! The only thing anyone seems to care about rumors about. But the rumor was that Han Solo and Leia broke up at some point before Ben, whether while Leia was training or something, and Han had an affair with someone, and that's where Rey exists from, and that Han is Rey's father. And that Ben knew about it, but Leia didn't. And that
Did Han know about it in this rumor?
I would hope so.
Did he know this other person got pregnant and had a child?
I think in the rumor, yes.
He did.
I think I'd have to. I don't recall exactly.
Okay.
And then that they got back. Leia and Han got back together, and the Ben and everything happened. Right? And that Leia never knew about this affair or about any of this, right? And that Han Solo was actually Rey's father. So she's not a Skywalker, but she is a Solo, which is just the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard.
All right, let's break it down because there are a lot of problems with this.
Yes.
First of all was the confirmed problem. So somebody asked Pablo.
Yeah. Someone did tweet Pablo about it, asking about this.
What did they do?
Oh, tweet!
What that tweet, what did I tweet, what that tweet, what did I tweet, and what is
With that tweet?
So someone asked, it's basically like, what is this? What do you think about it? What is this, rumor we hear about Han being a deadbeat dad, and things going all Maury Povich and the Rise of Skywalker. And Pablo said that doesn't fit with the timeline. Han and Leia were together up until about 5 years before The Force Awakens, and then it all went to hell. And Rey is 19 years old. Which I don't know if that's been said anywhere, that Han and Leia have been apart for 5 years. Not that I remember.
Think about it. Rey and Kylo are very close in age.
No.
If not the
Kylo's,
same age.
I think, 30.
He's 30? No.
I think he's 29 or 30. Yeah.
No.
Yes. Correct.
How?
Time.
So he was born shortly after the collapse of the Empire.
Yeah, not too long after it. He's in his late 20s.
He would have had to have been born the year or two, just a year or two after.
Makes sense, given that Leia was pregnant, and in those parts in was it not
Bloodline? She had already had Ben at that point.
Not Bloodline, and that was still
Aftermath.
the formulation
It would
of
have had
the
to
New
have been
Republic,
Aftermath.
When was she pregnant? What book was it talking about her being pregnant in? Was it Aftermath or was it something else?
Ben was a baby in Last Shot.
Yeah.
And I forget the timeline for the flash forward stuff.
Yeah, but I'd have
That
to.
was only within a few years.
I'd have to go back and say for certain, but I believe Kylo is, if not 30, almost 30. And then Rey, according to Pablo, is 19. And if anyone knows anything about Star Wars, it would be Pablo. Let's see.
Hold on, man.
Yeah, Pablo was actually the one that said it. So someone had tweeted him at a previous time asking, do we have any idea what Kylo's age is in The Force Awakens? Around 30? And Pablo said, around there, 29, 30. So they've not specified it exactly, but he is to be around 29 or 29, 30. So in Aftermath, Empire's End, Leia gives birth to Ben shortly following the end of the
That's
Battle of Jakku.
5 years after Battle of Yavin. So that's a year after or two after.
After
Collapse of the
following
Empire?
the end of the Battle of Jakku is when Leia gives birth to Ben,
Or not Collapse of the Empire, but
which is 5 years,
Jedi. After
1 year
End
after
of
the
Jedi.
Battle of Endor.
1 year.
So that would
Okay.
put him at 29, 30.
Okay, well that's still close.
And then Rey's 19.
It's close in
Yeah,
age.
but more than I thought it was. More of a span of age than I thought there was. 10 years is, I did not expect that much.
a little less than 10 years.
Yeah. So that also wouldn't make sense if Ben/Kylo knew about the affair, I guess, before things went to shit, because he wouldn't have been very old.
Yeah.
Either. Yeah, just none of it makes sense. It's really bad, but it was supposedly from reliable sources, supposedly. But with Pablo's basically fully debunked this, given that they were still together until 5 years before TFA. So that throws out anything with.
So
To me, that throws out anything with Rey possibly being involved with any of them, right?
well,
There would be no purpose for it.
think about it from Ben's perspective too. Ben was off with Luke in his preteens probably, maybe teenage.
Well,
late
he was
teenage
still with
years.
Luke when things went to shit with Ben. So he was probably in his 20s.
Well, in Bloodline, Han and Leia were still together technically,
Yes.
and Ben was off with Luke at that point.
Yes.
And Ben was. This is probably
Late teens.
10 years. Here, let me look up here. That's 28 years after the Battle of Yavin. So we're talking maybe a little more than 5 years before Force Awakens. So
Yeah, so
shortly
he would have been
after
in his
Bloodline,
mid-20s.
shortly after Bloodline, Han and Leia split up. You could
Yeah.
sense the tension in that book.
Yeah, you can.
But at that point, Ben had already been off with Luke.
Yeah, and he would have been in his mid-20s then, up early mid-20s.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So this is saying that somehow Ben found out about or knew somehow about this thing with Han.
From before.
So either he senses it through the Force or he's not as cloistered away with Luke as we thought he was in order
Yeah,
for this
but
thing
yeah,
to work out.
there's nothing that would
There's
allow
some
this
real-
to take place.
There's some real twisting and turning you'd have to do there with Ben to know about that.
Right.
And think about it from just a story perspective. Why would they kill Han?
And then just make him the shittiest person ever
Yeah.
by having an affair and having another child.
In order to gain, like just what you said, what? What do you get from that? What does that
finally
do?
know who she is.
What is that? Why does Rey, again, why does she have to be connected to these characters? Why?
Yeah.
Like, what do you get from that?
Yeah.
Other than
So part of this rumor was also
all
that
it does is raise questions.
So
It
part of this
doesn't-
rumor was also that there are sources saying that at some point, Lando reveals something to Finn and Poe that reveals something about a character that is a surprise. Like they
That's
reveal
that's
something
really
about
general.
about yes, they reveal something about a character that we know that is like something that is a surprise that
A
we
character
didn't,
that we
didn't
know?
know. Yeah.
So the reveal couldn't be that
so
Jana is
so
his daughter.
so by way of inferring, they think the person was also thinking, okay, well if that happens, then that it probably also has to do with this Rey thing and finding out that Han Solo's actually Rey's dad. Which if anybody would know, why not Lando? Is kind of what the theory was.
That part makes sense, but it doesn't jive with anything
what does it
else.
what does it do for the story?
What does it do for
the
Rey?
character?
Yeah. What does it do for Rey? Why does she have to be related to somebody?
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know.
The only thing that could work is if she's related to Luke, because that at least then explains her Force connection
But anyone can have
to Ben
The Force-
and to her.
But the Force connection and what we've talked about previously and what it seems, I mean, to me at least, it would make even more sense for them to have nothing to do with each other, but the Force to have connected them because of trying to balance itself.
Yeah. Well, yeah. All of the Force story for them can still just be the Force in itself. It doesn't have to be through blood
Right.
or whatever, through some sort of relation.
So we're still trying.
But I'm just saying,
Not we.
if she was to be related to one of these main characters, wouldn't it make more sense for it to be Luke than Han or Leia? Maybe Leia
Eh,
somehow, but then that
that doesn't make sense.
that doesn't make
No.
any more sense than Han.
No. Yeah, there's.
Like you said,
It doesn't do anything for the
anything.
story or the character.
Yeah.
So I don't know why. And again, this rumor was from reliable sources, but Pablo's effectively debunked it, I would say.
Yeah.
But even if that rumor holds any truth, even if it's not necessarily Han, if it's somebody else, do you think there will be more to Rey's parentage in The Rise of Skywalker, or do you think we're done with it?
I'd say more in that we get it confirmed that her parents were nobodies. Like maybe we'll have a more concrete story about what happened to her,
Yeah, maybe.
but then we'll just find out that her parents are just non-consequential.
Yeah, I do wonder. I wonder because again, what Kylo told her about her parents being nobodies and basically selling her for money.
You don't think
or
the
whatever.
Emperor was involved in anything to do with Rey, do you?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what it would be. I'm just kind of throwing that out there because that's the only connection I can think of. But
I mean, he had one of his stations on Jakku, his
yeah,
backup places. So there's some Force connection there, I guess, some evil Force there.
his acolytes were collecting Force-sensitive children.
Yeah.
In Aftermath, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what it would be. This is so far after that point. I mean, it's 20 years, 10 years
Right.
after when that was all happening.
Yeah.
The Emperor's been dead. The Empire's been gone for a long time now. So I don't know. By the time she's a kid, I mean.
Right. Right.
I don't know what it would be. I'm just trying to think of
So that's
if something else was revealed about her, what that would be.
That goes back to that thing where, right? So she's handed off to Ankar Plutt, and that ship takes off.
Yeah.
That ship looks a hell of a lot like one in the trailer, right?
Yeah, it does.
It looks very, very similar. So while I don't need anything else about her parentage. It's been explained as far as I care. If they want to give me more, that's fine. I personally don't. Okay, that makes perfect sense. I'm done with that, right? But do you think there will be, given the context of that rumor of Lando revealing something possibly to do with Rey or something like that, do you think that there will be a surprise of Rey and that there was someone's involvement with her being dropped off on Jakku.
Like I said,
That ship looking similar is a very loose thread, an easy
Yeah.
thread to pull. What if Lando dropped her off there because he was trying to protect her and
Sure.
related to something, trying to get children away from the acolytes, and they saved children and they dumped her there, which why would you ever dump her there? Put her on a hell of a better planet and give her some kind of support system.
Well, yeah, why would you give her to a slaver?
Right.
That's a thing. I think
But
that's
do you
a thing
think
that
there
nobody
is some
considers.
sort of? Do you think there's some sort of connection to something as to why she was dropped on, why she's on Jakku?
I don't know. All we have are these little breadcrumbs that you can't really. There's just so many ways you could go with it.
Right.
Until we know more, I don't know if I could say one way or the other. I agree with you that the question of her parentage has been answered. Her parents were nobodies that sold her. I mean, she's alone in this whole journey. That's her whole thing.
You're right.
That's the thing that she doesn't want to hear the most. And the thing the dark side of the Force told her to isolate her.
Yeah.
I mean, it all makes sense. I don't.
I agree.
If more information was given, it would be like, okay. It's like gilding the lily a little bit. It's not really necessary.
Yeah.
You're putting a hat on a hat.
Right. That's just, I wonder if there will be any more to her story than what we have. From a film standpoint, one, do we have time to even get into that in the film?
I think there's
two, is there going to be something that reveals more to why she was on Jakku or why she was involved with the Force, or other than the Force needing her?
I do think it would be resolution for her to find out something concrete other than a Force vision.
Like, oh, this is my life has been due to this thing.
Like she got this Force vision that was kind of hard for her to, like a dream basically.
Right.
And then Kylo told her the last thing she wanted to hear. So in my mind, there's probably still a little bit of doubt.
Sure.
That's there for her. So, maybe we get something that confirms it for her. But
I mean, is there some sort of culmination, like you mentioned with Palpatine? Is there some sort of culmination? Is there some
did he have his hand?
Is there
in
some
her?
thread that has tied through all of this that's going to be revealed, that this is why Rey exists, why she was there, why she's involved with the Force, that also ties her to Kylo because Kylo's related to this and that and whatever. And it's whether it's by accident or not, there's a through line.
Yeah.
And whether it was on purpose or not on purpose, like we are we going to find out there's this thread that has been running through all of this that we didn't know about, and here's the big shocking reveal of like, holy shit, it's all accidental, but this is why she's involved.
Yeah, because she is at the center of the story.
But do you think there's going to be something like that that's going to give more? I don't want to say credibility. That's not the word I'm looking for, but more purpose, I guess, for her.
More purpose? Yeah, I think so, but I don't think it would necessarily have to do with her parentage or who her parents are. The identity of her parents.
Outside of the parentage, do you think there's going to be a reveal or something more to why she's involved?
For sure. The same thing that we got with Luke in finding out that Vader was his father, and now he has to confront Vader.
Right.
And I'm wondering if it's that moment for Rey,
because there's supposed to be a lot of stuff relating to the Force in this movie. And I'm wondering if there's something going to be outside of just that. If it's, because I expect there to be some sort of explanation of why it's her and it's due to the Force.
Why
doing
the Force
this.
called her.
Yeah. I expect there to be something as relating to the Force with it, but I wonder if there's something outside of just the Force that was at play.
So like Luke was called into it because of his blood, because of who he was.
So people assume she has to be related to be called into
and
it.
And I think we've already got that answer in Last Jedi, and that Rey was called because there was like a balancing of the Force, or like, you know, the Force.
But is that too random?
Awoke.
Is that too completely at random
I think
to
there's
be
a reason.
the explanation?
No, I think there's a reason she specifically was chosen, but I don't think it's her identity necessarily. I think it's
Right.
something else that we don't know yet.
Interesting.
Because everything we've gotten about her up to this point has been that she's a loner. She's in this on her own. She's being handed in The Last Jedi. She's being handed this legacy of the Jedi to continue. Like, that's her burden. Whereas Luke's burden was confronting his father.
Yeah.
So Kylo also had that burden of confronting his father, and he did that early on and killed him and went a different direction.
Right. And
But-
Rey's burden is to. I think she has her own personal burden of feeling like she's at
Doing-
fault for something, for some of this.
At fault? For what?
I mean, she was still trying to save Kylo, even though she doesn't really know the guy. But they have a connection, right? There's some weird connection for some purpose that they have.
Yeah.
And I think she's still trying to save him, and she probably will still be trying to save him in The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
As much as Luke was trying to still save Vader, even though it seemed like he was a lost cause.
Yeah.
I
don't think they have to be related for that to happen.
No,
though.
no.
That's
not
what I'm
at all.
saying. I don't think this whole thing is going to circle around her identity. I think will probably get more about her purpose, but it's not like about her blood, her
No, yeah.
relations.
I would hope there is a why as to why she is involved.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get that. And I just don't know if the Emperor is going to be involved in that or not.
That would be really. I mean, all of this shit with the Emperor that we had, all of this shit, which is no shit.
It could go anywhere.
Yeah, that is such an intense idea to give us in that teaser, right?
Yeah.
That is such a like, holy shit. What? Which
From
I
the-
mean, which is
from
what
the very
everyone's
beginning.
been saying.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't expected. That's so out of left field. But like we said in previous episode, like, yeah, that's totally perfect. Why didn't we think of that? Why didn't we see it coming? I keep feeling like that. Like, why didn't I see that coming? No
You know what
shit.
You know what I think it was?
It's always been him.
I think we were trying to keep an open mind. And I mean this honestly. I think we were trying to keep an open mind with this new canon of this is going in a new direction. It's time to
But it's
let
still
go
the same
of some of this
story.
old
And
stuff.
I think we got off base of like, this is still the same
I think
saga.
I think it's perfect.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm still frustrated that I didn't think about it before they got me.
I'm glad.
They got me, and I'm mad.
They got me.
She got me.
They got me.
I've been clowned. It's frustrating. But that's such a big idea. It's such a big plot device. It's such a big thing that totally makes sense, but there's literally no context for it. We have no idea why or how or when or where or what.
Yeah.
That everything to do with the Emperor could have to do with everything or nothing. It could just be this thing that
He could just be a Force ghost that's on the Death Star, or he could be the puppet master.
yeah.
You know?
He could have everything to do with everything, or it could just be a small part with the story relating to the Force.
Yeah.
It could be everything or a little. But I mean, from the rumors that are out there, it seems like it's
It's everything.
pretty everything with apparently him trying to return in some capacity.
Yeah.
But again, if that's such a big thing, and that seems pretty reliable rumor of him trying to return in some capacity.
You know,
If that's so involved, then that plants that seed of like, well, then what else has he been involved in? Like, what else has he done? What else was part of his plan? Was anything of this other stuff related to this, or is this just another thing we find out that's been going on that really didn't have anything to do with the story thus far?
I think you could have.
How much is the First Order and
Think
all
of it
of
like.
that part of the plan or not?
Well, see, I was gonna make the comparison. Think of it like you could have, like Sauron and Saruman can coexist, but Sauron was controlling Saruman the whole time. So I was thinking of drawing
Right.
the connection between that and Snoke and the Emperor. Like you could have these two things that coexist where like the Emperor is trying to return, but Snoke is still kind of existing at the same time and doing his own thing, and the Emperor isn't necessarily connected to it. Like you could have that happening.
You could, but how
But
likely
it's
is
not
that?
but it's
too?
not the same thing as Sauron and Saruman.
That's just what at some point, like how much is too much of his involvement? Like, was everything part of his plan? Was the First Order and Snoke and all of that?
So as
Part of the
someone
plan.
who has been invested in Star Wars since the prequels and like all of that, I want that to be the case.
Yeah, right. I mean, it makes sense, but at the same
But-
time, how likely?
How
that
how
or
do you
not?
make that work as a story without it being super corny and like, okay, come on. You're retconning everything. You know?
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, that's where it's like, how much was planned, how much wasn't planned, and how much is just this for everyone? How much is everyone just now finding out about this, or how
Is
much of
this-
this was always part of a plan for
Is
somebody?
this the one piece of the George Lucas 789 story that they chose to keep?
Yeah, I wonder.
You know?
Oh, that's frustrating.
I think the Emperor being involved is something that they were building to, and I don't know if they
I-
threw it in at the last
No,
minute.
no,
I would,
no,
I would
definitely.
hope at least.
no, because I think it was JJ or someone else that said it, that this was always part of the plan.
Yeah.
They said from the beginning, this is where we were.
There were
wanting to
story
take it.
beats that they wanted to hit with this new trilogy.
I mean, even having the concept art of the female character, like
swimming around the
in the
Death
water,
Star.
swimming around the Death Star. Like this has been an idea since the very beginning,
Sure.
but how to make it get there or how to involve it.
Yeah.
So I think this has always been the plan. It's just, speaking specifically like rumors like this with Rey, where I don't think the rumors need to be. I don't think the conversations, the rumors need to be about parentage as much as someone wants somebody to have fucked somebody just so they had a baby that was Rey. Which I don't
Well
understand.
put.
I don't understand why she has to have involved parents when we already have the person that had involved parents and they're the villain.
Yeah.
Like that's a stronger story.
Yeah.
But then you've got this person that hasn't been involved in this shit, that is now involved in this shit. And are we going to find out in this last movie that she's involved in all of this because of something far bigger than her, or even far more sinister?
Yeah.
Like, was this tied to Palpatine? Was she at some point one of these children that was taken and was trying to be converted to the dark side or something? Like, there could be something super sinister about why she has any connection to the Force,
Yeah.
and we could learn some very dark secret about her. That's like, holy shit, that's not good, even though we have Kylo and everything that's going on with that. Like, it's the conversations need to stop being about her parentage and start being about, okay, so why is she involved?
Yeah.
Now that we know Palpatine's involved, why her? Why is she involved? Is she tied to anything else?
Well, I think to be fair, asking the question about her parents is trying to ask that question of who is she and why is she involved. But it's going about it the wrong way. It's saying she can only be involved by being connected to these characters we already know about. These main characters.
That's so
and that's not
cheap.
Yeah, right. It's cheap. It's
We know she's been on
one-sided.
Jakku since about, what was it, 8 years old? No, 6, 8, something like
Probably, yeah, probably more like 5 or 6, 7.
that.
Something.
She's been on Jakku since a child. So her raising up of and turning into an adult has nothing to do with whoever these parents were.
It was her.
And I guess people want her to have Force-related parents just to give her a reason to have the Force. But as The Last Jedi showed us, broom children can have the Force as well. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's just a thing that's in people. It doesn't matter who you are. As
Yeah.
much as Anakin was, he was just a shitty
Right.
little kid on a shitty little planet.
Yeah.
And guess what? He was this big ass deal because he was just full up on midichlorians. So at the beginning of Phantom Menace is the same thing we have exactly with Rey. It's just some piece of shit on a piece of shit planet that had nothing to do with anything, but was like, the
Well, same to do with
the
same
god of the Force.
Same thing with Luke, too, basically.
But he had the blood at least. So
did Anakin.
No. Well,
I
he had his
guess
blood.
not.
Yes, he had some blood. He had all of
did
it.
have blood.
Let's say he had most of his blood. But like he didn't have parentage.
I guess I meant he was connected to the Force. He was created by
Yes.
the Force.
Correct. So Luke was Luke because he was related to who he was related to.
Yeah.
Anakin was not Anakin because he was related to who he was related to.
He was created by the Force.
Just like Rey doesn't have to be who she is because she was related to somebody that had the Force.
Yeah.
She could just like Anakin, she's the Force's creation for a necessary thing.
What if she is the new Anakin? What if she was born to a fatherless, or what? Yeah, what if she's born fatherless?
Just sprouted out of the sand.
Yeah, I mean, what if she had a Shmi?
My Shmi! My Shmi!
Where's Ray Shmi?
Oh, my Shmi!
I've never really considered that before, though. Like
That she could have, I mean,
she could have just been created by the Force, just like Anakin was created by the Force to bring
her
balance.
parents left her on Jakku because she scared them.
Well, I mean, Anakin was created by the Force to bring balance.
Yeah.
Not in the way the Jedi were expecting. Maybe Rey was created in the same way.
Yeah, and maybe her parents were pieces of shit, and they were scared of her because of what she could do,
Maybe. Or her mom.
or her mom, or whoever.
If she was born out of the Force like Anakin was.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
So I mean, then that's been my whole, I don't know, almost assumption this whole time, is that the Force awakens, the Force awoke,
Mhm.
right? And it awoke in her because she's the answer to the problem. The Force finds what it needs to bring balance and to answer the
Yeah,
problem. So
right.
she doesn't have to be related to anybody, but she's the answer for a reason.
Yeah.
And I assume we're going to get that reason in
Mhm.
this film. But it's more sinister to me to think about that she has this ability or is the answer to the problem because of something else that happened and could be related to Palpatine and could
Because
be
someone
far
manipulating
far
things?
worse than we imagined. It could go in a dark path where like you were created because
To
of
fulfill
this
this dark
dark
purpose.
prophecy,
But she was redeemed.
but there could be a conflict and a attempt at a turning point
Yeah.
for her in the way that Luke had to do to Vader, but trying to turn her to the dark side in the opposite way. I mean, we could have that point in this film where we find out a much darker reason to why
Yeah,
she is the
that's
way
true.
she is.
Yeah.
So I'm tired of the parentage conversations where I think there's valid conversations that could be had about her purpose
Yeah.
that aren't being had because someone needs a mom.
Right. Someone needs to be, related to
All space
a
children need
character that
moms.
I like
Yeah, right.
or used to.
So I don't know. Just as much as that's like all the rumors. Is this a mom?
Yeah.
Who's her dad? Who's her mom? Who gives a shit? There's a much bigger thing at play here that could be talked about, but people just want to know if
People just want to waste time.
anyone they see that's a female in a Star Wars shot is like, is it mom? Who cares?
Is this Ray's mom?
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. If anyone's listening to this,
At this point.
that's what I want people to be talking about, because I don't see that happening anywhere. But that's like all I care about when I
Uh-huh.
think about Rey. Is like, why
Yeah.
Rey?
Yeah.
Not why Rey because of who. It's like, why?
No,
what's
why
the
Rey?
purpose of the Force? Like the Force is doing this for a reason.
Yeah.
What's that reason? And is there a reason that we're not thinking about?
Yeah.
Because there's got to be something there. There is a thread there, and that's going to happen. There's going to be
You
an
know what the
explanation to
reason that we're not thinking about is that droids should be banned. Droids are the one who get these people into these problems.
that. Droids?
Droids are why Luke got involved. Droids
It's true.
BB-8 is why Rey got involved.
That's what Lando's
Anakin
going to...
built C-3PO and I still need to find a connection for that one, but
There's going to be this really long thread of C-3PO having been like infected with something from Palpatine that he passed to BB-8 to like there's this whole stupid droid thread that like it's always been hidden in one of the droids for this to happen.
that's like Darth Jar Jar all over again. That's basically Darth Jar Jar, right? That C-3PO's been evil this whole time and he's been manipulating everything.
That'd be really funny. That's why he goes Rambo with the bowcaster and everything. His eyes turn red and he just starts trying to kill everyone.
Activated.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He's finally revealed himself. It's been Palpatine has been inhabiting C-3PO this entire time since he's been dead.
So basically, if you ever see a droid in the desert in Star Wars, it's gonna be something big is about to happen.
Yeah, you've got a story
coming.
Yeah. Good luck.
Somebody's got a map or a person to find, or somebody knows something.
Yeah. And you're about to be in the shit because a droid
There's a
asked
droid
for your help.
There's a droid in a desert, and you're rescuing him.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh man. How stupid would that be? If it had anything to do with the droids. How bad? How bad would that be? So bad.
No worse than than Han being Rey's dad.
That's true. I got nothing else. I'm done with this shit. I think we've gone on far long enough about complaining about people talking about Rey.
That's all the show is complaining about what other people talk about.
No, it's just it's frustrating where there are legitimate conversations that can be had and should be had for the enjoyment of coming up with theories and and talking about Star Wars. Whereas most of the internet is just like, "Is it, Mom?" And just try.
What's the difference between coming up with theories that are okay and like, is this not a theory?
No, yeah. I'm saying people complain and talk about the theories that matter at this point, I guess.
The story, yeah. I guess.
I don't know. It's, again, people that are trying to get Game of Thrones Season 8 remade. It's those people that just can't accept this is the way it happened. I'm sorry you didn't like it. But if you still care about Star Wars, have the constructive criticisms about, okay, so that's just, and I don't know if that's just my way of thinking with like we've talked about it before, like Star Wars is history to me.
Yeah.
Once I've been told a thing that happened in Star Wars, that's the thing that happened in Star Wars.
Yeah.
I can't change it.
Yeah.
So now I need to be thinking about, all right, if that's what happened, what does it mean going forward? Like finding out, about, it's like I was talking about reading the Leia book.
Mm-hmm.
She's had much more interaction with Tarkin in the Leia book. So now to me, I don't think about that like, oh, they put all that stuff in to add to the story of what happened in A New Hope. To me, it's like, oh shit, that makes sense now in A New Hope. Why was it such a big deal for him to destroy her planet?
Yeah. Not
like, oh, they're making this a big deal in this book and rewriting stuff so that it made that piece a big deal. It's just like, oh, so that's what happened. So that's why this mattered.
Which is like the meta truth, kind of.
Oh yeah, totally. That's not the way I think about it. The way I think about it is like, I've now found a new history book and learned why the Nazis did what they did.
It's
and there was much more happening behind the scenes than I realized.
It's being a fan. That's what
I guess.
That's what being a fan is.
And there's fans and then people that ask to get stuff remade, and that's not being a fan of something, I guess. But it's just like there's valid conversations that should be had that maybe maybe I guess Twitter and the internet's not a good place to ask for valid conversations.
Right.
Maybe I'm expecting too much of anything on the internet.
I agree. It's not something that someone who's truly a fan would be doing.
But even, I don't know. And if you still care about Star Wars, it's like, okay, well, that's the thing that happened. So what would be cool using that knowledge? What would be cool for it to do now? Not like, well, they got to refix it. They got to put new paint on my Star Wars. That's not.
They got to put the paint that I like on Star Wars. Come on.
I wanted a blue one.
I want a bean feast.
Thanks, Veruca. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm asking for constructive conversations on Twitter, and that's just not something that I think Twitter's ever done.
I want constrictive conversation.
That's back to the furry story. All right, this is enough of me bitching like an old man about people not talking about a fake thing with enough care.
If you enjoy talking about a fake thing with care,
talk to us about it.
follow us on Twitter at hokey_religion. Talk to us all you want. We will respond to you and treat you very seriously.
It's true.
Even if you make fun of us and call us nerds.
That's us. I'm fully accept it.
We
Like
are.
I just said, any new Star Wars book is essentially to me like a history book. I accept
Deal
that.
with it.
I accept that I accept it.
Unfollow us if you don't agree. Please don't do that. Just keep following us.
If you really don't like us, create another account and follow us again.
Whoa.
That'll teach us.
1,000 followers. 2,000.
Keep doing it until we learn.
Oh, bad. Bad us.
You can also hit us up on email at asklobot@hokeyReligion.com. And if you, for some reason, really enjoy this show and us treating Star Wars with all of the care in the world, you can go to patreon.com/hokeyReligion and support the show monetarily with as little as $1 a month. We appreciate anyone that
We'll
does
mail
that.
you a sticker.
We will.
We still have them.
Lots of them.
No one has ever asked for a sticker. No, that's not true. Some people have. And I
have mailed stickers to people before.
and I think we mailed them, but that was like 2 years ago.
Because we said, email us and we'll send you a sticker.
Yeah.
And one person did, and I sent them stickers.
So there you go.
It's a true thing that can happen. If you want a sticker, tell me. Go to email us at asklobot@hokeyReligion.com. You can leave us reviews, but no one does.
We need some fresh reviews.
You can go
Come on,
on. You can leave
we can't-
reviews on iTunes.
We can't possibly have reached review.
No
capacity.
Certainly not. Based off of the downloads, there are certainly more people that could be leaving a review and sharing with the world that they enjoy our constructive criticism of.
Leave us a review. What are you
things.
waiting for?
Do it right now. We're waiting. Good? You good now?
Change that. That was bad.
That's not my name.
That's not my show.
Oh, you're leaving reviews for someone else.
I really liked Hokey Religion.
If you really like the show, leave reviews
On
about
Serial.
us on other people's podcasts. Great.
Please
Thanks.
do that if you review our show first.
Right.
Then we don't care.
If you wish you could review us again, just leave reviews about us on other podcasts.
In fact, go on Twitter and quote tweet somebody else's podcast account and then mention us and say, I really like Hokey Religion. Please
what
do
a
that.
dick thing to do.
Please do that.
What
That
a
would
horrible,
be
horrible
so
thing.
funny. That would be so funny. Please go do that. Somebody.
That's so bad.
Tell another podcast how much you like this podcast. Please do that. Is there anyone still listening at this
No,
point
definitely
that's
not.
going to hear me?
All right. This is more than enough of this episode. Thank you for listening. This is Tyler.
This is Michael.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Hokey religion is an ancient weapon. Hokey religion is an ancient weapon, so no match for a good blaster at your side.